Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of Fear the Walking Dead Season 2 Episode 6, Secret Service. And this one, in my opinion, was really good. I think that this one, like almost no other episode, really showed off the show's potential to be something really good. I feel like I think that maybe since the season 1 finale, this is my favorite episode so far. This one was good. Like, there was a lot more action, I feel, than usual, and it was spread throughout the episode nicely. And the actual, like, conversations and character development that we normally get, it's not really anything new. That was more exciting and had more weight to it this episode than in others, because there was sort of a danger going on that was inherent behind all of the conversations. So that was just something that worked really well. Now, as for the scene before the credits, we have the church scene. And if you don't know, of course, they're praying for help to fight the dead or to keep their faith strong while fighting the dead. And they were going to go out and kill the walkers that Celia had in the cellar. And then, of course, they were poisoned by Celia. Now, of course, from their dialogue, I could guess this from the beginning. I think a lot of people could probably guess from the beginning. Okay, Luis's mom, Celia, she's the one that poisoned them. But why and how and stuff like that, and her reasoning behind it. So I liked that we're just given that with no context at the beginning, and then slowly throughout the episode it's elucidated. They make it more and more clear why she did that, and Celia's motives and the thought processes that went on with poisoning them because of what she believes about the walkers. Now, then after the credits, getting to our actual group, I think that there's kind of a plot hole in this whole tension between Chris and Madison, because Chris did some kind of shitty stuff that later in the episode that it was pretty weird, pretty shitty stuff, but like him killing Reed was totally justified. And the reason I'm saying plot hole is because their characters jumping to the conclusion that he murdered this guy is like super unbelievable. Like, this guy, Madison told Travis that he wasn't infected. He turned into a walker. He was obviously infected. If she was saying, okay, he hadn't turned yet when Chris killed him, well, like, how do you know this? Like, Chris shot him. Chris could have thought he was dead. He was going to turn. The guy had a freaking... It's like they're forgetting that he was dying anyway. He had a crowbar through his entire body. Like, his odds of survival were pretty much nothing. They have no... they don't know if he died from that before Chris shot him. We don't even know, and we were seeing it from a bunch of different perspectives. So there's no way that the characters could logically jump to that conclusion, that Chris just killed this guy, and even if they did, the guy was dying anyway. He was turning anyway. It was obvious that he was turning anyway because he turned when Chris killed him. Or, for all we know, when he died or bled out from that wound. It's like the characters, or at least Madison, made a ridiculous logical jump that makes no sense. And it's like they forced it so that they could have tension with Chris. So they reach the border, and the flotilla, they come up, the flotilla guard, and they board it, and they go to search the vessel for infected. Of course, our group, other than Luis and Strand, had gone into the engine room, and we hear negotiations break down. And when we run up to check it out, Luis is dead, and so are 2 guards. And Daniel, of course, puts the 2 guards down. He's going to put Luis down, but Ophelia and Nick stop him. And, of course, Luis is saying, no, don't hit my brain or whatever. So and he also says to give the amulet or medallion or whatever to his mom of the owl, but Daniel chucks it in the ocean. Now this I didn't like either, because Daniel's kind of a hard ass, but doing something like that seemed a bit out of character. That really didn't seem like normal Daniel to me. So, I don't know. I didn't like that, because it's like with Strand. They're a hard ass, but they're not just a pure dick for no like particular reason, you know? Now we get to land, and then we fight the parishioner herd, and that was really freaking cool. That was an awesome scene, and it had a lot of emotion to it as well, because they're killing little kids, walkers of little kids albeit, but little kids pretty much, so that's pretty damn intense. And of course you can see it took a lot out of Nick killing a little girl walker, and of course Ophelia killed the little boy walker as well. But when Daniel was choking the kid, Daniel has a flashback. Now this could either be him choking a kid in the past, or the kid could be him being choked. And I think from what was her name? Mercedes Mason or something like that? From what she said on The Talking Dead, we're going to learn more about that flashback next episode. So we have that to look forward to, and it's going to be explained. Also, at one point, Madison is in trouble in this scene, and Chris doesn't save her. And Alicia sees it. Now, that was kind of a dick move on Chris's part, and he is going a little crazy. But I can kind of understand his being upset. I can't understand him just letting her get killed, of course. But I can understand, like, looking at the character's perspective, why he would be pretty upset. She said some really alleging you murdered somebody. That is some big shit. She said some big shit about him with no evidence to support it whatsoever. She has no idea if he bled out from being freaking impaled. So, like, it's just such a... I think it's a dick move on Madison's part more than anything. I think Madison is the bigger dick in this situation than Chris. Like, especially given that Chris has at least had some use to the group, but Madison lately has been way more of a liability than an asset. Like, the actor and stuff said she's up for Madison being the Rick of the group, but Madison is the opposite of the Rick of the group. Madison is holding Chris and Nick back from doing things, which only harms the group. It doesn't just harm Chris and Nick, it harms the whole group. And she is being a dick to random people that they've just met. And of course, like, you want to, like, not make enemies as soon as you meet a person. And she just, I don't know. Madison is, like, up there with Ophelia when it comes to useless members of the group. Ophelia just hasn't done anything whatsoever until the herd fight this episode. Madison has actively done things, and I loved Madison in Season 1, but Season 2 Madison has just done things to hold us back. So we finally make it to the vineyard, and it looks really freaking nice. It almost looked, when I saw it last night, it looks like the poppy plantation or whatever from, you remember, like, last season of The Walking Dead, the that show that came on, I guess it was just last winter, like Into the Badlands or whatever. It looks like that plantation, like, except repurposed and switched around a bit to fit this scenery. Like, it looks super, super similar to me. It's probably not the same set. It just was very reminiscent of it to me. And of course, our group all has their weapons taken. That happens all the time in The Walking Dead, every time one of our groups get to a new place. So it's nothing new. And of course, Matt, like, we get a cool conversation with Celia and Nick, and we get hints at her weird, messed up beliefs about the walkers. But Madison coming in there and just being a dick for no real reason, it's just an annoyance, a big annoyance. Now at the plantation, we do find out that Abigail has already been bitten. I kind of again saw that coming as well. I was like, I've been saying for a while, like, watching it with my family and stuff, I was like, watch, Abigail's probably going to be dead by the time they get there anyway. But I think this was a better way to do it. kind of interesting, kind of predictable. Like, I guess what I mean by predictable here is that it's like one of those things that it's almost, I don't want to say cheesy, but it's like one of those things that you just imagine happening in a zombie show. Like one of those plot lines that seems like it would occur relatively often. So Chris threatens Alicia, Alicia tells Madison, and Madison confronts Travis. And it was, again, I think I'm more on Travis's side because he's like, I've been there for you every time you wanted to run off and do something, every time you had a stupid idea, I supported you and just dealt with it. Like, let's think of a solution. And Madison, and pretty much that's what Travis is saying. He says pretty much, let's think of a solution multiple times. And Madison's like, ugh, I don't want to think of a solution. Can't I just complain? And that was pretty much it there. She just whined about it. She didn't do anything. And like, it doesn't annoy me when characters are meant to be annoying. Because I think we're supposed to, like, at this point, we're supposed to think, okay, Chris is off his rocker. And we're supposed to feel a certain way about him. But I think they want us to actually like Madison. And in season 1, she was very likable. But season 2, Madison is not likable at all to me. She is a huge detriment to the group. So Daniel is like, he's going crazy, but at the same time, he's the one piecing everything together here at this place. So it's sort of a weird good and bad of the paranoia he's got going on. And beyond that, Ophelia does take Nick out while she prays and talks to her mother or whatever. And it was cool to see Nick having flashbacks of what happened in episode 1. Because if I remember correctly, I don't think that he totally remembered that. I think that all throughout season 1, after he was hit by the car, he didn't remember what happened in the church. So it was interesting to see that now he remembers what happened there. Strand, of course, agrees to, or offers to die with Abigail. But again, I knew he was not going to do that from as soon as he said it. Because I was like, we have dealt with Strand so long. And we've seen his character arc move so much that there's no way they're killing him off right now in that way. I knew that he was going to put Abigail down, or at least I very much hoped so, because if he didn't, I was going to say that's kind of a flaw. So Daniel finds out about the Walker cellar and a bit of Celia's madness. He pieces it all together. And Nick and Celia have a really cool conversation, I think. I'm hoping Nick doesn't get brainwashed, but I think it's a cool little character thing they're doing there, where he's just tired of the killing, and it feels a bit real, you know? Then, of course, Chris sneaks out of bed and goes to presumably stab Madison and Alicia in their sleep, which is kind of a, it would sort of be obvious that it was him, so it's kind of weird. Maybe he was just going to stand there with the knife and look ominous. So that was kind of very odd. And of course we get a gunshot during this, and that gunshot is Strand putting down Abigail. And that was really freaking cool and really sets us up for a great mid-season finale. So I really did like that, and I liked pretty much all of this episode, really. Like, the development in the story and the way we progressed was really freaking good. The character conversations as well were so much more tense and meaningful, and there was a lot more action than usual. I felt like the show was, like, finally getting exciting, you know? Sort of like the end of last season. It started to feel like we went from just boring, trying to suffer through it week to week to get to something good, and we were actually getting the something good. That's what this feels like. Kind of sadly. Because while I don't think any of the episodes of this show have been bad so far, most of them have not been very good. They're all sort of just average or a little bit above average at best. We haven't really seen any great episodes out of Fear yet. But I definitely do think we're getting there, and I think this was a huge step up for an episode. I really don't think there was much bad. All of the things I could say were bad weren't really things about this episode, but more things about the show and story in general. And even then, the show did its best with that. So I think the episode did its best with that. So I think that this episode deserves 9 Santa Muerte owl medallions out of 10. So 9 out of 10 I think is fair for this, because I enjoyed it a lot. I really thought it was a step up in quality of an episode and just excitement and entertainment, even though I still do think there are some problems with characters. And that, I don't know, there's just this internal conflict stuff and characters getting whiny is very, very tedious. We had gotten away from it a little bit, and we're still kind of away from it, but we moved back towards it a little bit, and I just don't want to get back into a place where our group is just bickering among itself all episode at the beginning of the next the second half of this season. So hopefully we move into a more united group. But in the end, that's all I've got to say about this episode. So I thank you so much for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there, tell me what you thought of the episode and what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Fear the Walking Dead, Tower of God, One Piece, and a lot more. Follow on Twitter for updates. I'll update you there whenever I'm posting stuff or pushing stuff back. Thank you so much once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.